Well, let's talk about the Middle East for the next few minutes, because in Washington, Donald Trump is hosting Benjamin Netanyahu. The Israeli Prime Minister has today been meeting the US Vice President J.D. Vance. He'll later go on to hold talks with the House Speaker Mike Johnson. We think that's in the next hour or so. Well, last night, President Trump said Hamas appears willing to agree to a ceasefire and that, quote, things are going very well. Well, in Israel itself, there have been fresh indications of what Benjamin Netanyahu and his government is planning for what comes after the war. Israel's defense minister says he's asked the military to prepare a plan to move all Palestinians in Gaza to a camp in the southern city of Rafah. Israel Katz wants to establish what he describes as, quote, a humanitarian city to initially house about 600,000 Palestinians and eventually the entire population of 2.1 million. Well, BBC Verify's Merlin Thomas has been analysing satellite imagery in the proposed area to look at the levels of destruction.
Israel's Defence Minister Israel Katz has announced plans to move Palestinians to what he's called a humanitarian city, a move some legal experts say would be illegal. This camp is planned to be built in the ruins of Rafah in southern Gaza and initially aims to move 600,000 already displaced Palestinians from the coast. Katz said development of this zone would happen during any potential ceasefire. The region where the so-called humanitarian city is planned has been subject to a recent wave of destruction. And satellite imagery shows that much of southern Gaza has already been the focus of intense destruction by the Israeli army since the start of the war. But much of it has been taking place more recently. Let's take a closer look. For example, this is part of central Rafah on the 29th of March. You can already see that there are areas that have been destroyed here. And this is from the 4th of July. And you can see that almost every building has been razed to the ground in a period of just over 3 months. Elsewhere, in the governor of Rafah, this is Tel al-Sultan on the 29th of March. And you can see the effects of what over 17 months of war has wrought. But then, within a couple of months, the vast majority of this neighbourhood has been reduced to rubble and completely flattened. Even the Saudi neighbourhood in Rafah, where most buildings were still standing in June, on satellite imagery, you can see that dozens of buildings have been destroyed in recent weeks. It's worth saying these are likely to be demolitions rather than airstrikes, because this is an area held by the IDF for some time. And in other areas where they have operational control, there have frequently been videos showing controlled detonations. And there's still not that much detail on what this so-called humanitarian city would involve. But Katz said the ultimate aim would be to eventually move the entire population of Gaza into the zone. That's more than 2 million people. He said the